Alright, and welcome to round 4 of Grand Prix Trial Brisbane. I'm Jared, this is Leroy.
Let's do this.
So we have the 2-1 bracket for you in round 4 because our 3-0 bracket at the start of round 4 was players we'd all seen so far. So this time we have Austin Melberg on your left on Affinity, and a bit of a spicy one out of Steve Blake on the right on Mardu. Good stuff, he's called it. I'm not quite sure what to see in this. We don't have deck lists because it was a regular event, so we might have to just have a bit of a surprise as we go in.
Well, we know that Austin is on Affinity. Looks like this is the archetype of the tournament.
Oh, it was a huge showing there. From only 12 players, I think we had 4 decks. It was a third of the field.
Yep.
So, we'll guess we'll get a bit of a surprise out of Mardu. Good stuff. We don't have the deck list. Let's get into it, eh? So Austin's going to be on the play for this one, which is always a good thing. I mean, Affinity with such an explosive opening, if you get a good explosive opening on the play, you've wrapped it up.
Right, and I suppose half the format of Modern is who wins the dice roll, especially when you're both trying to win on turn 4 latest.
But I have no idea what Steve's on here.
Yeah, I imagine that we're going to see some amount of Terminate, Dreadbore.
Colligan's Command?
Colligan's Command, of course.
Good in this match.
What else do we want to see out of Steve's deck? Mardu, good stuff. I suppose he's got a fair amount of Planeswalkers.
Man, a couple of Bobs in there will get you there. Like, just even some of the good stuff out of Jund is
True.
nice. Goblin Dark Dwellers is nice in this sort of build.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can
Let's
just get
see
the
how it
normal
goes.
Affinity opener.
So Affinity, Austin's obviously
He's
had a
mulliganed.
scry.
He's had a scry. He wants it on top. Yep. All right. Let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not bad off from 1 to 6.
Let's go.
And it's a turn 1 Steel Overseer and 2 creatures, 2 other creatures. You can't complain about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid opener. If he's got an Arcbound Ravager in his hand, it becomes very, very strong very quickly. He really wants to Lightning Bolt here.
Meanwhile, we've seen
Path to Exile.
Yeah, get rid of that Steel Overseer.
You just have to.
While he's still sick. That's a Fetch Shock.
Even if it's a Path.
Yeah, Path is fine here. It looks like it's going to be a Bolt. Or a Fatal Push.
A Fatal Push, of course. We definitely do not want to see Hand Disruption. He will be sideboarding most of that out, I imagine.
Yeah,
definitely on the draw.
Oh,
And he's got the Hand Disruption, so he takes the Edge
still
Champion.
his next champion. That's not awful. But it's not what you want right now, and especially going down to 15 when he's got that sort of board to start off with. He's swinging for 3 next turn.
Both players are smiling.
Swinging
They
for-
obviously know that that wasn't the card they were expecting. And off the top here, an Arcbound Ravager.
And also just make that a bit bigger straight up. Yeah.
Steal the game away.
Yeah, this won't last long. Did he?
He's failed to add an additional counter to the Ravager.
Whoops.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to watch this match too closely, which is why this deck's going to be a complete surprise to me on the right-hand side.
Of course.
But yeah, that's definitely something you should have picked up long ago.
He even played it before combat in order to get the additional counter.
Specifically to do that, but he would have just seen the die on there and not even thought about it. Gee, Austin.
Oh, and a Bob is not what you want to see facing down that board. It's obviously a chump blocker.
Yeah, animate the Blink Moth, make it even bigger. Now you pump it. Pump it up, at least get your counters elsewhere. That should be a 3, but...
Let's see if they notice.
Oh, there's the call. We're going to cut away for this judge call for a moment. So, unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that. It was far too late.
Yep.
He failed to resolve his ability, but an entire turn has passed.
I wonder though, because he triggered the counters on the other 2 cards, but not on the other, he has still resolved the ability, but he resolved it incorrectly.
Never mind, sorry, I did actually let him put that up in the end.
Okay, there we go.
So, at competitive rel, it's a different story altogether, but because, again, rule of fun, it's a GPT, we did actually let him resolve that ability correctly. Is that 3 on that other creature there? Is that lethal? 7, 8,
So
9,
it's
10.
3, 3,
That's
and 7.
that's 3, 3, 7. That's
Yep.
lethal.
Yep.
Jeez.
Well, that's what you get from a turn 1 Steel Overseer.
Yeah, 5 minutes in, we've already got turn 1 Steel Overseer. It absolutely takes it away. What have we got in sideboards for this one?
All right.
I still want to see more of this Mardu deck 'cause we didn't see very much of it at all.
Right, and I'm interested to see how
If
he'd
it weren't-
gotten so far already.
If it weren't for that Marsh Flats, I'd say he was playing Jund.
Exactly. So it looks like Austin's got a couple of whip flares, which he probably
Austin
wants to think about bringing in.
has a stock standard Affinity sideboard. Pair of Whip Flare would be worth seeing. You only saw a Bob, but I mean, green's where you get your big creatures out of Jund.
Just out of the stock standard, though, Austin's
Ensnaring
running an
Bridge.
Ensnaring Bridge in the
I've seen that
sideboard.
in a few. I mean, it's not awful.
That's true. He's
mean,
playing the Aether Grid as well, so he's taking in for the later game.
He's preparing for the long game. Affinity can switch into a control deck reasonably well given its build, but it also allows you to swing with your Ornithopters and Signal Pests and get there for nasty damage.
Yep.
What
I
else
like
has he
that.
got?
He's
Two-
got 3 grave removals, which is probably relevant in this build if he's playing Dark Dwellers.
He might be, he might not be. We've yet to see it, and Steve, if you're watching this, post your deck list. Hey, I'd love to see this.
A couple of Fatal Pushes definitely coming in.
Yeah, I remember actually that Fatal Push. He was looking for Dismembers for his sideboard right before the event started. I sat down and said, how about Fatal Push? I've got 2 sitting here.
Yep.
So
Let's see how it went.
he's borrowing a pair of Fatal Push off me. I think about 4 plays in this tournament of 12 people borrowing cards off me for it.
Nice. So Steve's got 1 Stony Silence, which is interesting. I'd really like 2 there, but he's got 2 Zealous Persecution and 2 Anger of the Gods, which are quite heavy versus Affinity.
All of those will come in.
Hitting the X1s with Zealous Persecution.
What do you think Fulminator Mage here?
It's another land destruction, I guess, or another moth destruction. But it seems too slow. Maybe if you can block one and sack it for the other, it becomes a semi-gain 3 life.
But no, probably not then. Depends on how much he's got to take out as well.
That's right.
Because you might just have things in the deck which we haven't seen that are better. Obviously, that Thoughtseize and whatever others should be coming out.
I'd really like to see a couple of bits of removal and then sit on the back of a Liliana to win a game. You know, the new Liliana. The last
new
hope.
Liliana with the neg 2, neg 0, neg 1 or something like that.
It's +1, neg 2, neg 1 on up to 1 creature.
That's it. Neg 2, neg 1.
Here it is here.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah. So it also has the graveyard ability, which I don't see being overly relevant in this game. But again, it might depend on the rest of his build. And then we're not even going to talk about the emblem.
Well, if he can kill off, 2 or 3 creatures with it and get a blocker or 2, the emblem is just going to win the game almost immediately.
True. If she lives long enough.
That's true.
That's the issue.
But if she's not living, she's fogging.
Definitely. But between the Flyers and the X-Champion, I don't see Liliana surviving to let off an emblem here. And we're back for the game. Austin seems to have kept his 7, but Steve is mulling.
Yeah.
I love that playmat at GP Melbourne there on Austin's side.
Yeah.
I've still got mine somewhere because I got one of each of the playmats for judging it.
I had to buy one.
Did you?
When I was at the event. I was playing day 2, obviously.
Oh, that's right.
And,
That was the day 2 side events.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was my favourite one, and I wanted to get one. Unfortunately, and here's a short funny story. Unfortunately, I lost my playmat because I was quite intoxicated on the train in Sydney after GP Sydney. It was one of the judge ones, which is the underwater creatures with the Sydney Opera House on top of it.
Yeah, I didn't actually get that playmat. Unfortunately, GP Sydney last year fell on my anniversary, I think it was.
Oh no, so you couldn't go.
I couldn't make it down there. I
it
thought
was a
2
great
anniversaries in a row playing Magic. That might have been a bit of a downside. There's an Affinity opener.
Oh, right. So
One,
he opens
two.
with a Shambling Vents, and Austin's got 3 0-drops and a 1-drop.
And a Blink Moth. Yeah, I can see who had the better opening there.
A Zealous Persecution wouldn't be terrible here.
And he's got mana for it.
Waiting
Black
for
Blue
the
Fist.
attack.
Let's have a look. It's a second Blink Moth. Not as exciting as it could be, but he's coming in for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Signal Pest. Does he have an answer?
He's got
There's
it.
the persecution.
And Austin,
So-
he's looking over to read it.
I would have done that pre-combat personally, just to save that 1 point of life.
Yes and no. I really wanted to try and let Austin attack with the Blink Moth Nexus.
Well, if you animated the Blink Moth
Right.
Nexus, that's a different story altogether.
Right. Yeah. It's a shame Austin didn't play the Ravager pre-combat, because he's got one in hand. I'm not sure what else he's going to play.
Yeah, he's just called a judge now, so
Yep.
we're going to cut this out for a second. Okay, so this is one of the issues that came out of PT Dublin. I'm sure everyone's heard about the combat shortcut. The go to combat means you're passing priority up until your opponent has priority in the beginning of combat step. So what we had there was Austin asked to go to attacks, was told yes, and immediately started swinging. But then his opponent cast Zealous Persecution.
To clear the signal pest
Yeah.
before combat.
Yeah, before combat.
Declare attackers.
But because Steve allowed him to declare his attackers... Oh.
So
Yeah,
so
so
the
he
judge-
didn't stop it there. So
Correct.
I ended up ruling in by what he intended to do.
Yep.
So he wanted to go to the beginning of combat and then cast Zealous Persecution, exactly what we were talking about before, to
Right.
play around the Blink Moth Nexus there.
Yep.
So again, it was a bit of a miscommunication error, but because we're playing a GPT, it's regular. I ruled by intent, and both players, they obviously knew what each player intended to do, so
Right.
they were happy. They ended up rolling back there. So the only difference was the one life point that we were talking about before. There's a Lingering Soul. Okay, a Lingering Souls. I like that.
Well, that was a given in a Mardu deck. I guess it was an oversight on our part of not mentioning Lingering Souls.
Oh, I didn't even think of it at all.
This is obviously why Austin has thought about bringing Whip Flare in. He's got one in his hand, I believe.
And because all of the good creatures in black and white are low toughness to begin with, so Whip Flare is definitely worth having here. Can he? Oh, if he's got Spring Leaf Drum, of course he can cast it. He comes in with the 2, and he blocks 1. Why not? Take 1 down to 19.
Another one. And he casts it from the hand as well. He obviously doesn't have another lands to play.
Well, he wants to hit a 4th land and then just get both flashback next turn.
So the question is whether Austin wants to cast Whip Flare and attack here.
Does he have another land? Yeah, okay. So
He can tap Spellskite, of
he's
course.
tap Spellskite for the red mana, and then Whip Flare, and then animate one of the Blink Moth Nexus.
No, he'll want to equip...
Yeah, animate one of them. Use that one to equip. That way you get that extra 1 point off the cranial plating.
That makes sense.
Which would be, if he did that, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only 5, but 5 is better than nothing.
He could double block, of course, with 2 tokens up.
He could. Oh, he's got those 2 tokens there, yeah.
Yeah, if he's Whip Flaring, it gets in a free 5. But
Which, I mean, you could wait and hold out for the next turn when he does double flashback, but you don't want to get too greedy against tokens. He's gone in the tank for a bit there. What's he want to do? He's only got the 1 card in hand, and there's not that many plays. Looks like it's what he's doing.
Yep.
Whip Flare, get rid of the 4.
he just wants to get in there. Alright.
And he wants to, yeah. Swinging for currently 4, 5.
Yep. So he just did it the different way around.
Yeah.
What do we want to see here? Any targeted removal is quite poor.
Colligan's command's good here. Not with that.
Yeah, deal
not,
2
not
to
with
Ornithopter.
spell skites there.
Yeah.
So the spell becomes essentially destroy target Ornithopter and deal 4 damage to opponent.
Yeah.
Still not awful for 3 mana. But it protects the cranial plating, protects the ornithopter. He's making us wait for it. He's building the anticipation here. Look at that, suspenseful. There we go, Bob. But that Bob's might even cost him the game.
Yeah,
He's
it's interesting.
sitting on
I really
13.
like Colquhoun's command here because it hits the Ornithopter and the Spellskite. Because he can deal 2 damage to Ornithopter and destroy target cranial plating.
Spellskite.
Of course, he pays 2 life and it destroys his 2 creatures which can attack with plating equipped.
Spellskite it twice.
He could. That's true.
Because the word target occurs twice there.
Yeah.
He's got mana for either a Fatal Push or a Bolt, both of which deal with Ornithopter though. But I would have done it in response to that Ravager.
He's got Spellskite.
That's true as well. He's just animated again for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, I can count totally.
Takes nothing.
Bob's, yeah,
That's what he needs.
Take nothing.
I'll play that land I drew. Oh, it comes when I play tapped.
Oh, unless he pays 2 life. Which I'd pay 2 life to get double spectral, lingering souls.
Mm-hmm.
Go down to 5. Now we've seen, this is I think the 3rd Affinity deck we've seen on camera tonight, and
Yep.
I haven't seen a single Gulf Blast play.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see Ravager until the second match.
Yeah, well, we've seen enough Ravagers now, but no, still no Gulf Blast.
Mm.
And that's usually a 4 of at the moment. He's taken the shock. Spent 3 on, we don't know yet, but he wanted to keep that push/lightning bolt that we were talking about before up. Wait, what's he doing with it?
So he's given away
Mm-hmm.
that he's got a 3-drop.
Or he could just be bluffing that. There was a thing on one of the podcasts actually a couple of weeks ago on Modo where someone was playing Death Shadow aggro against Green Red Tron. So old mate tapped his Grove, give the life, get the Death Shadow in the graveyard, and then undid to bring it back in. And just did it back and forth. That was great. Yeah, you saw that one too?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
We'll put footage of that up on the screen while we're waiting for anything interesting to happen here. Oh, never mind. There's a Colligan's command.
There we go.
And so that will be deal 2 damage to target Spellskite and destroy target Spellskite. Yep, there it is.
Looks like they're going to have a judge
and
call on
yet
that one.
Yet another judge call. I'm not even going to bother to cut away from this one. We all know what this does. Yes, the word target occurs twice on spells on Colligan's command. He may do it twice. You have to pay the cost twice. He could do one of it in a blue mana if he wants to.
That's true.
Yeah, he's got the Arcbound Ravager. He can even tap the Spellskite for it. And he's just going to eat it anyway. Did he pay that once or twice?
Maybe he targeted the Spellskite with half?
Well, he may have tried to destroy the Spellskite and deal 2 damage to the Ornithopter or something.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. I would have at least tried to do something to the Ravager. I'll check that out with the audio later and see what happened. What have we got? Yep, swing in for a whole bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
That's more than lethal. And unblockable. Yep. And we're done. Geez, these last couple of rounds have gone by pretty quick.
Oh, Affinity does that.
It sure does. So, it's a pity we didn't get to see more of this. All of the cards we expected to see we hit, except for that Lingering Souls we both completely missed.
I wish I had have seen a double Lingering Souls in that last turn there on the Mardu.
That would have been good to see. It would have at least set him up for a couple more turns. I think it was the writing was on the wall at that point, but Yeah, that was just, it felt like an easy win for Affinity there. And Steve's tried to go with a spicy brew, and he's made it to 2-1 in round 4. I'd like to see it improve. I'd like to see black, white, red is a thing in Modern, but I'm not quite sure it's there yet. It needs 1 or 2 more cards.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the new Liliana's done great things for it, but it follows the classic Jund line of good solid removal, good solid cards.
But the problem it has that Jund doesn't have is it needs the good solid creatures.
Right.
It doesn't have Tarmogoyf. It needs the Skoos.
Yep.
It needs just some sort of finisher as well. It needs a Huntmaster of the Fells or something like that to really take it over the top.
Yeah.
Oh well, I guess we'll see you in the next round.